first thing I'd say is I definitely don't see employees as a brand. I see them as people, but I suppose in terms of how I then think of them as people, it would be about their personality and their abilities.
As an MD of an organization, we encourage people to be their true authentic selves. There's also that balance that they are representing the company that they work for at all times as an employee of that company. So it's finding that balance to make sure that they're truly being themselves, but at the same time cognizant of the fact that they're representing an organization with their behavior.
Like a brand, a person can say that they're thoughtful, innovative and creative, but are they? They really need to deliver that in their actions and fundamentally deliver that every day with the clients they work with, and that builds their reputation, their brand, if you like.
We don't really see employees as brands. Brands, they're kind of a bit of a commercial construct, really. Brands. Brands are about markets, right? People aren't really like that. They're much more complicated.
I do see employees as a brand. I think everyone has to be aware that they have their character and their business skills and their professional skills, but they also have channels that they're broadcasting through, they're having conversations, they're networking, they're representing themselves. The language they use, the body language they use, the way they look, the way they feel, they behave like brands, and they should be aware of all those elements that we judge brands by.
We don't see employees as brands, we see employees as people. I mean, we look for interesting people, we look for diverse people, we look for people who will make us a more interesting place, and we look for people who will fit in with our brand and will say the right things about us as an organisation and say the type of things that we want to say about ourselves.
The main thing is to make sure that everyone you employ shares the values and the vision of the business. The company's trying to say the same thing as the employees, and you don't need to worry too much about whether or not there's a difference there, because we're aligned from day one.
We want to bring people together, but we want to bring them together as a collective. So it's important for individuals, but actually we're all going towards a greater collective vision of what we're driving. And for that reason, I think whilst it's important to have individual brands, actually we are completely, as a company, we represent them and they represent us, and therefore there's a healthy entwining of that we need to respect.
Today, people are looking for ways that the company can serve them rather than the old way in previous generations where the corporate people were there to serve the corporate agenda. So increasingly it's important to find goals, to find environments, to find motivations and progression that people can see within themselves rather than them serving only the corporate agenda, and finding a way to realize both so that somebody could see their own progression, their own development, their own learning within what is the broader mission of a company is the way to both attract and retain the best talent.
I think that it's really important for our clients, and it's really important for potential employees to get a feeling of the real Interbrand. And one of the things that we have to do as a business is that we have to ensure that from a cultural point of view that everyone's really feels what it's like to be an employee of Interbrand, and that everyone has an intuition, a really highly developed sense of intuition about, you know, what are the things that are right and appropriate for Interbrand.
I guess how we think about it is that the senior team of the agency very much are what defines the agency. So it's a collection of their brands that come together, but very much fitting with the business as well.
I think you need an element of both. Individual brand is massively important. After all, we're after a diverse range of people and people sparking off each other, lots of different ideas in the business. So the individual brand is really important. But they need to have shared values with the business, and where you have issues is where the two actually come into conflict.
We're all about, we have like a set of cultural values here, so we kind of harness sort of a challenge mentality of a can do and to be curious. And I think what that means is naturally you do get different types of people. So you get people who are more curious people who are a little bit more challenging, or people that have that can-do kind of spirit. So it gives us that lovely sort of melting pot, if you like, of variety as a business. So we are kind of aligned, but it stops us all kind of just being all on sort of one machine.